The Awakening. In the cold void of space, the Galactic Federation exploration vessel Celestial Beacon drifted through an uncharted star system at the edge of known space. Captain Zorax Veldari, a tall reptilian Zorgon from the core worlds, studied the holographic star map with a critical eye. Anything of interest in this backwater? Ensign Foros, the furry Loxian officer at the sensor station, adjusted his controls, ears twitching. Mostly barren rocks and gas giants, sir. Wait. His voice trailed off as a new contact appeared on the edge of the long-range scanners. Captain, I'm picking up an anomaly. Bearing 227 Mark 14. Some sort of silicate asteroid, but the readings are strange. Zorax turned his slitted eyes to the view screen. Magnify. The screen shimmered, zooming in on a distant speck that slowly resolved into an elongated angular shape. It was vaguely reminiscent of the ancient generational colony ships used by some of the Federation's member species before the advent of hyperdrive. Except this one was easily 10 times larger. That's no asteroid, Zorax muttered, a sense of unease prickling his scales. He had an instinctive sense for the dangers of the void, honed by decades exploring the frontiers. And something about this felt wrong. Set course to intercept, shields up, send a message to Fleet Command informing them of our discovery. As the Celestial Beacon approached the massive derelict, Zorax couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something beyond their understanding. Little did he know how right he was. Within the cavernous hold of the ancient vessel, row upon row of cryogenic stasis pods stretched out into the darkness, the faint hum of machinery the only sound. Inside one of the pods, a warning light blinked on as ancient systems stirred to life, responding to the presence of the Celestial Beacon. Frost retreated from reinforced glass as heaters activated for the first time in millennia. With a hiss of escaping gases, the pod cracked open. A hand reached up, gripping the side as a humanoid figure pulled itself into a sitting position. Muscles flexed beneath engraved metallic skin, the result of biomechanical augmentation. Eyes as blue as glacial ice snapped open, taking in the endless rows of sleeping figures. Awaken Protocol Theta initiated. A soothing artificial voice chimed from the pod's audio system. Welcome back, Commander Saros. You have been in stasis for approximately 867,942 Earth Standard Years. The man called Saros blinked, shaking off the fog of centuries-long sleep. Snippets of memory flickered through his mind. A blue-green world engulfed in the flames of war, sleek silver ships rising into the sky on pillars of fire, the cold embrace of the stasis pod. He knew who he was, his purpose. More would come in time. Status report, he demanded, his voice rough from disuse. The AI responded immediately. All crew members accounted for and stable. Ship systems nominal. We have arrived in the target star system, and planetary scans are commencing. However, sensors have detected an unknown vessel on approach. Technology does not match any known parameters. Saros frowned, his chiseled features set in determination. First contact this soon after awakening was not ideal, but they would adapt. They always had. Initiate awakening for the command staff and have the diplomatic team on standby. It's time to introduce ourselves to the locals. On the bridge of the Celestial Beacon, the crew watched in stunned disbelief as an imposing figure materialized on their view screen. He appeared human, but no human they had ever seen, with his metallic skin and eyes that seemed to pierce through them. When he spoke, his words were translated by the ship's linguistic matrix. Greetings, I am Commander Saros of the Hyperion, representing the United Earth Federation. Our records indicate that we have been in stasis for nearly 1,000,000 years as we fled a cataclysm that destroyed our home. We come in peace, seeking to rebuild and forge connections with the galactic community. Zorax exchanged shocked looks with his bridge crew. The United Earth Federation. Humanity. They were little more than myths, ancient stories told to children. an upstart race that had burned brightly among the stars and then vanished before the Galactic Federation had even formed. Yet here was undeniable proof of their existence. The implications were staggering. If humanity had possessed technology like this million-year-old ship eons ago, how advanced would they be now that they had awoken? As Saros continued his greeting, Zorax knew one thing for certain: the galaxy would never be the same. In the heart of the Hyperion, Saros studied the alien vessel looming before them with a mix of curiosity and caution. It was clear that much had changed in the long millennia of their slumber. But no matter what challenges or wonders this new age held, he knew that he and his fellow survivors would face them with the same indomitable spirit that had carried them across the stars. For they were the legacy of Earth, the last embers of a proud civilization forged in the crucible of adversity. And now, in a distant corner of the universe, they had awoken to carry that flame into the future. The Hyperion was more than a ship. It was a promise, a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity and determination. As the first tendrils of communication passed between the two vessels, a bridge across the gulf of ages, Saros allowed himself a moment of hope. They had been given a second chance, an opportunity to rebuild what had been lost. And though the path ahead was uncertain, he knew one thing with absolute clarity: the awakening had begun, and the galaxy would witness the resurgence of humanity. Revelations. In a secure meeting room deep within the heart of the Galactic Federation's capital space station, the Hyperion's command staff faced a group of high-ranking Federation officials. Saros stood at the head of the table, his bearing one of quiet confidence as he prepared to share the story of their long journey. When we left Earth nearly 1,000,000 years ago, our civilization stood on the brink of annihilation. He began, his voice somber. An enemy we called the Void, a race of beings from the dark spaces between galaxies, had attacked without warning or mercy. Their technology was beyond anything we had encountered, their motives inscrutable. Saros called up a holographic display. The ghostly images of sleek silver ships battling against writhing shadows playing out above the table. We fought them with everything we had, but it was a losing battle. They seemed to devour entire worlds, leaving only lifeless husks in their wake. The Federation officials watched in grim silence, the implications of this ancient war sinking in. If an enemy had nearly destroyed a civilization as advanced as the humans claimed to be, what hope did the younger races of the galaxy have? In the end, we were forced to accept a bitter truth. Saros continued. Earth could not be saved. Our only hope was to ensure the survival of our species, our culture, our knowledge. And so the Hyperion Project was born, a last-ditch effort to preserve the best and brightest of humanity in the hope that we might one day rebuild. He gestured to his fellow officers, men and women who bore the same metallic enhancements and determined eyes. We represent the last remnants of the United Earth Federation. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, artists, each chosen for their expertise and resilience. The Hyperion was our ark, carrying us across the stars to a new beginning. One of the Federation officials, a slender Ethani with iridescent skin, leaned forward. But why did you sleep for so long? Surely you could have found a new home sooner. Saros shook his head. Our stasis technology was experimental, pushed to its limits by the necessities of war. When we fled Earth, we knew there was a chance the pods might malfunction, that we could sleep far longer than intended. But we had no choice. He called up another series of images, this time of the Hyperion's interior. Vast hydroponic bays, humming reactors, endless rows of stasis pods. The ship was designed to sustain us indefinitely, to continue its mission even if we never woke. It would search for habitable worlds, gathering data until a suitable planet was found to establish a new Earth. The Federation scientists in the room were visibly impressed by the level of technology on display. Even after eons adrift, the Hyperion appeared to be in remarkable condition, a testament to the engineering prowess of its long-dead builders. Saros turned to face the Federation delegation directly, his gaze intense. We owe you a debt of gratitude for awakening us. But now that we have returned, we face an uncertain future. The war that nearly destroyed us may be ancient history to you, but for us, the wounds are still fresh, and if the void still exists out there, the entire galaxy could be at risk. A murmur of concern rippled through the gathered officials. The prospect of a threat like the void was chilling, even to races that had known peace for generations. We offer our knowledge and technology freely, in the spirit of cooperation, Saros declared. But we must also prepare for the possibility that our ancient enemy might one day return. The United Earth Federation may be gone, but the spirit of humanity endures. Together with the races of the Galactic Federation, we can face whatever challenges lie ahead. As the meeting adjourned and the Federation officials dispersed to relay this startling news to their respective governments, Saros couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The Hyperion's databanks held vast stores of information, the combined knowledge of human civilization at its apex. But there were also gaps, records lost to the ages or purged in the chaos of their departure. The true nature of the void, the extent of their capabilities, the fate of the other colony ships, all of these were still shrouded in mystery. And as much as he wanted to believe that their long sleep had brought them to a brighter future, Saros knew that the universe was seldom so kind. For now, they would focus on integration, on sharing what they could to help uplift the younger races. The technology of the Hyperion alone could advance the Federation by centuries. But even as they looked to the future, Saros couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of the past were never far behind. The void was out there, an enigma waiting to be unraveled. And humanity, the race that had once stood on the precipice of extinction, now held the key to the galaxy's fate. The revelations of the past would shape the path ahead, for better or for worse. As Saros gazed out at the stars through the viewing port, he felt the weight of history upon his shoulders. The awakening had been only the first step in their journey. What came next would test the limits of human ingenuity and determination like never before. But no matter what trials awaited them, one truth burned bright in his augmented heart. Humanity would not face them alone. In the tapestry of the cosmos, their thread was interwoven with countless others, a part of something greater. Together, they would unravel the mysteries of the void and secure a future for all the races of the galaxy. The legacy of Earth demanded nothing less: integration. In the months following the awakening of the Hyperion, the Galactic Federation found itself grappling with a new reality. The return of humanity, long thought lost to the mists of time, had sent shockwaves through the political and social fabric of the galaxy. For some, the humans represented a beacon of hope, a link to a glorious past, and a promise of a brighter future. Their technology, even after eons of dormancy, was staggeringly advanced compared to the Federation's own. The prospect of integrating human knowledge into their own societies was tantalizing, offering the potential for rapid growth and development. But not everyone welcomed the newcomers with open arms. There were those who feared the disruption that humanity's presence would bring, who whispered that the humans' confidence bordered on arrogance. They pointed to the tales of the void, the ancient enemy that had nearly wiped out Earth, as evidence that humanity's influence could lead to ruin. Amidst this swirl of excitement and trepidation, Saros and his crew worked tirelessly to forge a place for themselves in this new era. The Federation had granted them a world to call their own, a lush planet on the edge of explored space that they had named New Haven. As the Hyperion settled into orbit and the first shuttles descended to the surface, Saros couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. The rolling hills and dense forests reminded him of Earth as it had been before the war, a world of beauty and potential. "It's a new beginning," he murmured to himself as he stepped out onto the rich soil, breathing in the clean air. Around him, his fellow survivors were already hard at work, setting up prefabricated shelters and surveying the land for suitable building sites. In the coming weeks, New Haven blossomed under the industrious hands of the human settlers. With the aid of the Hyperion's advanced construction drones, they erected gleaming cities that blended seamlessly with the natural landscape. Towering spires of glass and steel reached towards the sky, while verdant parks and gardens wove between the buildings like green arteries. The technology of the Hyperion, carefully adapted and scaled for planet-side use, transformed New Haven into a marvel of engineering. Zero-point energy reactors powered the cities, providing clean, virtually limitless energy. Quantum computing networks linked every home and workspace, creating a digital infrastructure that put the Federation's own systems to shame. But it wasn't just the physical infrastructure that set New Haven apart. The humans brought with them a spirit of innovation and creativity that had been honed over millennia of struggle and adaptation. In their research labs and universities, they pushed the boundaries of science and technology, making breakthroughs that had eluded the Federation for generations. News of these advancements spread quickly, and soon delegations from across the galaxy were flocking to New Haven, eager to learn from the humans and forge alliances. The sight of alien dignitaries walking side by side with human scientists and engineers became a common one, a symbol of the new era of cooperation that was dawning. Yet even as humanity's star rose, there were those who watched from the shadows with growing unease. The rapid pace of change, the way the humans seemed to effortlessly upend centuries of established norms, it all fed into a simmering resentment among certain factions within the Federation. There were whispers of secret meetings, of plans to curb humanity's influence before it grew too great. Some even dared to suggest that the humans' knowledge was too dangerous, that their technology should be seized and suppressed for the greater good. Saros, ever vigilant, was not blind to these undercurrents of discord. He knew that the path to true integration would not be an easy one. The scars of the past, the memory of the void, and the near annihilation of their species still weighed heavily on the human psyche. To truly find their place in this new galaxy, they would need to confront those fears and build bridges of understanding with their alien neighbors. It was a daunting task, but one that Saros knew they could not shirk. And so, even as New Haven flourished and humanity's influence spread, Saros and his inner circle worked tirelessly behind the scenes to navigate the treacherous waters of galactic politics. They forged alliances with key Federation factions, sharing knowledge and resources in a spirit of mutual benefit. At the same time, they quietly prepared for the worst. The Hyperion, still in orbit, was more than just a symbol of humanity's resilience. It was a fortress, a last line of defense against any threat, whether from without or within. For Saros knew that the true test of humanity's integration into the galactic community was yet to come. The specter of the void still loomed large in their collective memory, a reminder that the universe was a dangerous place, filled with unknown perils. But as he looked out over the bustling streets of New Haven, seeing humans and aliens working side by side to build a better future, Saros allowed himself a moment of hope. They had come so far, endured so much, to reach this point. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever threats might emerge from the depths of space or the hearts of those who feared change, humanity would face them as they always had, with courage, determination, and an unshakable belief in the power of unity. The integration of humanity into the Galactic Federation was more than just a political or technological process. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of a species that had refused to be broken by the darkness, that had clawed its way back from the brink of extinction to take its place among the stars once more. And as the lights of New Haven shone like a beacon of hope across the galaxy, Saros knew that the legacy of Earth, the dream of a united future, was finally within reach. The ancient enemy returns. In the dark void of space, far from the bustling trade routes and populated systems of the Galactic Federation, a remote monitoring station hung in silent vigil. Manned by a skeleton crew of Federation scientists, the station's purpose was to keep watch over the fringes of known space, to be an early warning system for any potential threats. For years, the station had recorded nothing but the usual background noise of the universe, the faint whispers of distant stars, and the occasional flare of a dying sun. But on this fateful day, the sensors suddenly came alive with a burst of activity, alarms blaring as the computer struggled to make sense of the incoming data. The station's commander, a grizzled Vorian named Krell, rushed to the control room, his eyes widening as he saw the readouts. The energy signatures were massive, unlike anything they had ever encountered, and they were moving fast, on a direct course for the heart of Federation space. Krell wasted no time in sending an emergency transmission to the nearest Federation outpost, his voice tight with barely controlled fear. "This is Monitoring Station Theta 9. We have detected an unknown hostile force on approach. Repeat, unknown hostiles inbound. Request immediate assistance." But even as the words left his mouth, Krell knew it was too late. The station shuddered as the first wave of the attack hit, the shields barely holding against the onslaught. Through the viewports, he caught a glimpse of the enemy ships, their forms a twisted mass of writhing shadows and pulsing energies. And then, in a final burst of searing light, the station was gone, consumed by the darkness that had haunted humanity's nightmares for eons. Light years away on the vibrant streets of New Haven, life went on as usual. Humans and aliens mingled in the markets and plazas, trading goods and stories beneath the twin suns. In the research labs and universities, scientists pushed the boundaries of knowledge, unraveling the secrets of the universe one discovery at a time. But amid this scene of peace and progress, Saros stood in the command center of the Hyperion, his face grim as he listened to the distress call from Monitoring Station Theta 9. The words sent a chill down his spine, a cold recognition of a threat he had hoped to never face again. "The Void," he whispered, the name a curse and a prayer on his lips. "They've returned." Around him, the bridge crew of the Hyperion burst into action, their enhanced reflexes and neural implants allowing them to process the information at lightning speed. They had trained for this moment, run countless simulations and drills, but the reality of it still hit like a punch to the gut. Saros knew that they had precious little time. The Void's ships were fast, their technology advanced beyond even the Hyperion's capabilities. If they reached the populated systems of the Federation unopposed, the death toll would be catastrophic. He turned to his communications officer, a fierce determination burning in his eyes. "Send a message to the Federation Council, Priority Alpha. Inform them of the situation and request an immediate mobilization of all available military assets, and get me aligned to the research teams on New Haven. We need every advantage we can get." As the crew scrambled to carry out his orders, Saros couldn't help but feel a sense of bitter irony. For centuries, humanity had been the outsiders, the newcomers struggling to find their place in a galaxy that viewed them with a mix of awe and suspicion. Now, in the face of an existential threat, they were the ones the Federation turned to for salvation. In the heart of the galactic capital, the Federation Council convened in an emergency session, their faces ashen as they received the news of the Void's return. For many of them, the ancient enemy was little more than a myth, a boogeyman from the depths of history. But as the evidence mounted, as the sensor data and eyewitness accounts painted a picture of unimaginable destruction, they could no longer deny the truth. The Void was real, and they were woefully unprepared to face it. The debate raged for hours, each representative putting forth desperate plans and countermeasures. But in the end, it was Saros's voice that cut through the chaos, his holographic image towering over the assembled counselors. "We have faced this enemy before," he said, his voice steady and unwavering. "We know their tactics, their weaknesses, but we cannot fight them alone. The Void threatens not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. We must stand together, pool our resources and knowledge, if we hope to survive." There was a moment of stunned silence, the weight of Saros's words sinking in. And then, slowly at first, but with growing determination, the counselors began to nod. Species that had been rivals for centuries, races that had barely tolerated each other's presence, found themselves united in the face of a common foe. As the Federation mobilized for war, the research teams on New Haven worked around the clock, developing new weapons and defenses based on the Hyperion's ancient databases. The ship itself became a hub of activity, its crew working in seamless coordination with Federation scientists and engineers. But even as they raced against time, Saros knew that their chances were slim. The void had nearly wiped out humanity at the height of their power, and the Federation, for all its advancements, was still technologically outmatched. Their only hope lay in the resilience and ingenuity that had carried humanity through the ages, the same spirit that had driven them to the stars and beyond. And as the first reports of void incursions began to filter in, as the galaxy trembled on the brink of annihilation, Saros knew that the true test of that spirit was about to begin. For in the face of the ancient enemy, in the crucible of war and chaos, the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy would be forged. The return of the void had set in motion a chain of events that would echo through the ages, a defining moment in the history of the cosmos. And as Saros stood on the bridge of the Hyperion, watching the stars blur as they raced towards their destiny, he felt the weight of that moment settling on his shoulders. The fate of billions hung in the balance, the dreams of 1,000 worlds resting on the actions of a handful of brave souls. It was a burden that would have crushed lesser beings, but Saros and his crew had been forged in the fires of adversity. They were the inheritors of humanity's legacy, the guardians of a flame that had refused to be extinguished by the darkness. And as the first shots of the war echoed across the galaxy, as the ancient enemy and the united races of the Galactic Federation clashed in a battle for survival, that flame burned brighter than ever before. For in the end, it was not just the fate of humanity that hung in the balance, but the very soul of the galaxy itself. The void had returned, but so too had the descendants of Earth, and they would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and in doing so, they would illuminate the path to a future worth fighting for. The battle for the galaxy. The galaxy burned. From the core worlds to the farthest reaches of the outer rim, the forces of the void swept across the stars like a tidal wave of darkness. Their ships, vast and terrible, seemed to devour the very light around them, leaving only silence and death in their wake. Against this onslaught, the combined fleets of the Galactic Federation fought with desperate courage. Ships of every size and configuration, from the sleek fighters of the Ethani to the lumbering dreadnoughts of the Craxian Empire, rallied around the Hyperion, the ancient human vessel that had become the backbone of their resistance. On the bridge of the Hyperion, Saros stood like a rock amid the chaos, his eyes fixed on the tactical displays that covered every surface. The ship shuddered as another wave of void attack craft slammed into the shields, the energy barriers flickering dangerously under the assault. Shields at 30%. The tactical officer reported, her voice tight with strain. We can't take much more of this. Saros nodded grimly. Divert power from non-essential systems to the shields, and get me a firing solution on that void battleship. We need to take it out before it can flank the Ethani cruisers. As the crew rushed to carry out his orders, Saros couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. How many times had they faced this same situation in the simulations, the endless drills that had consumed their waking hours since the return of the void? But this was no simulation. The ships dying in the void around them, the worlds burning under the onslaught of the enemy, they were all too real. And the price of failure was too high to contemplate. On the planet below, the surface of New Haven, the war raged with equal ferocity. The void had landed invasion forces in the heart of the human settlements, vast armies of twisted creatures that seemed to meld organic and mechanical components in a nightmare fusion. Against them stood the combined might of the Federation's ground forces and the human defenders. Soldiers in powered armor clashed with the void's monstrosities in the streets, while artillery and air support rained fire from above. At the forefront of the battle, Commander Ilara Voss led a team of elite human operatives, each one augmented with the most advanced combat implants and weaponry the Hyperion's armories could provide. They moved through the chaos like ghosts, striking at key targets with surgical precision. But even their skills and technology were pushed to the limit by the sheer scale of the void's forces. For every creature they felled, A dozen more seemed to take its place, an endless tide of horror that threatened to overwhelm even the most hardened veterans. In the skies above, the battle raged on with unrelenting fury. The Hyperion, battered but unbroken, led a wedge of Federation ships in a desperate charge against the heart of the Void Armada. Saros gritted his teeth as the enemy flagship loomed before them, a vast construct of twisted metal and pulsing shadow. All ships, concentrate fire on the flagship's main reactor, he ordered, his voice carrying across the fleet's comm channels. We need to take it down before it can bring its main weapon to bear. As the combined might of the Federation fleet poured into the Void flagship, Saros couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. They were hurting the enemy, forcing them to adapt and react to the defenders' tactics. If they could just hold out a little longer, if they could buy enough time for the evacuation ships to carry the civilians to safety. But even as the thought formed in his mind, a new wave of Void reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace, their numbers dwarfing anything the Federation had faced before. The comm channels erupted with cries of despair and desperation as ship after ship fell before the onslaught. On the surface of New Haven, Commander Voss and her team found themselves cut off and surrounded, the Void's forces pressing in from all sides. They fought with the fury of the doomed, each one determined to sell their life dearly. But as the last of their ammunition ran dry and the enemy closed in for the kill, a new sound split the air. A sound that had not been heard in the galaxy for eons, a sound that struck terror into the hearts of the Void and ignited a fierce joy in the souls of the defenders. The sound of human voices, raised in a battle cry that shook the very heavens. From the depths of space, a second fleet emerged, a vast armada of ships that bore the unmistakable markings of the United Earth Federation. At their head, the sleek form of a second Hyperion, its hull gleaming with the fire of 1,000 suns. This is Admiral Elena Nakamura of the UEF Hyperion Aya. A voice crackled across the comm channels. Sorry, we're late to the party. Had to make a little detour to pick up some old friends. As the newcomers slammed into the Void's flank, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Void, caught between the hammer of the Federation fleet and the anvil of the human reinforcements, began to falter, their formations crumbling under the onslaught. On the surface of New Haven, Commander Voss and her team watched in amazement as drop pods rained from the sky, disgorging fresh troops and supplies. Among them, a familiar face, weathered by time but still burning with the same fierce determination. Looks like you could use a hand, little sister, Marcus Voss said, tossing a spare rifle to Ilara. Just like old times, eh? Ilara grinned, feeling the surge of renewed energy coursing through her veins. Just like old times, she agreed, as the siblings turned to face the enemy once more. In orbit, Saros felt a weight lift from his shoulders as the reinforcements poured in. He had always known that the Hyperion was not the only ship to escape Earth's fall, but to see them here now when all had seemed lost. It was a miracle, a testament to the indomitable will of the human spirit. As the battle raged on, the Void began to retreat, their forces breaking under the relentless pressure of the combined human and Federation fleets. But even in defeat, they remained a terrible foe, lashing out with devastating weapons that scared the very fabric of space and time. In the end, it was a small team of human scientists, working frantically in the depths of the Hyperion's research labs, who found the key to victory: a Nova bomb, a weapon of terrible power that had been banned by the Federation for centuries. But desperate times called for desperate measures, and as the bomb detonated in the heart of the Void Armada, the galaxy held its breath. For a moment, there was only silence, a stillness so profound that it seemed to stretch into eternity. And then, with a roar that shook the stars themselves, the Void fleet erupted into a maelstrom of fire and light, their ships consumed by the unimaginable energies unleashed by the Nova bomb. It was a victory, hard-fought and dearly bought. But as the survivors gathered in the ruins of New Haven, as the ships of the Federation and the United Earth Federation joined in a solemn salute to the fallen, there was a sense of something more. a sense of unity, of purpose that transcended the boundaries of species and culture. For in the face of annihilation, in the crucible of war, they had forged something new. A galaxy united, a future worth fighting for. And as Saros stood on the bridge of the Hyperion, watching the stars glimmer with the promise of a new dawn, he knew that the legacy of humanity, the dream of a better tomorrow, would endure. For they had faced the darkness, and in the end, the light had prevailed. The battle for the galaxy had been won, but the journey was far from over. There would be new challenges to face, new frontiers to explore, but whatever the future held, they would face it together, united by the bonds of courage and sacrifice, of hope and love. For in the end, that was the true strength of humanity, the flame that had carried them across the ages and the light years. And as long as that flame burned bright, as long as the spirit of Earth endured, there was nothing they could not overcome. The galaxy was theirs, and the future was waiting, and with the legacy of the past to guide them, and the promise of tomorrow to inspire them, they would meet that future head-on, ready for whatever wonders and challenges it might bring.